My name is Achunine Oziomachukwu Joseph. I'm 16 years old. I come from a family of 5 and I'm a twin. We live in Lagos State, but we are from Imo State. I like playing football, playing games, and learning new things. My intended course of study is mechanical engineering in Unilag, and I desire to study that course because I like dealing with machines. I like designing and building things that are used in that affect and are used in human life and activities. And my UTME score this year was 369. I and my brother wrote 2025 UTME in the month of April. But before that, we wrote our first external exam, which was the private SSCE in February. And that exam was computer based, so that helps us to be used to computer based exams. So we started early to prepare for our exam. We used the TestDriller app to practice on a daily. We participated in the TestDriller challenge, which occurred weekly on Saturdays. And we had a lesson teacher who came weekly to teach us. And this helped us to get ready for the exam. I also had a personal book where I wrote things down, new things that I learned that were not in my notebooks or textbooks. So as I used this TestDriller app to practice, at first my scores were not really high, but the more I practiced, the more I got better, and the more determined I was. Me and my brother were. So we wrote JAMB before we wrote the UTME, and our schools took us to the place. And as we were writing the exam, power went off, and we had to wait for like almost 1 hour before the power was restored. It was frustrating and annoying, but what can we do? So we picked up from where we stopped and we continued and ended the exam. They released the results to us that day, and I came out with 323, while my brother came out with 297 in the mock exam. And I noticed a lot of past questions that reoccurred in the mock exam that I had seen using the TestDriller app, which made me to continue to use the TestDriller app more. So the day for the main UTME came, and my brother, he wrote his exam before me, and I asked him how was it, how the questions. He said it was okay. I asked him how the literature book questions were, and he told me. So that helped me in getting ready for my own exam. So the day for my exam came, and it was very early in the morning, so I had to wake up early, and my parents took me there. So we got there early, and he told parents to wait behind while those writing the exam will enter somewhere to wait, to register and wait. So we registered and we were waited for almost 2 hours. It was frustrating, but we ended up writing the exam. So without any issue, there was no problem, which was good. So the period came where for us to check our results, and my parents checked my brother's results first. He scored 343, so we were all happy, we were rejoicing. So it was time to check my own, but there was a network issue. So my mother went somewhere to get it resolved. So when she came back, I saw a face of disappointment, and I was surprised because I expected a good result. And we saw that JAMB had released that I scored 149, and I knew that that was not possible because it did not reflect the amounts of effort I put into the exam. So we knew that there must have been a problem somewhere, and we waited patience. We were waiting to see if JAMB will recognize our mistake. And I was nervous because I was scared that JAMB might not recognize the mistake and all my efforts might be in vain. But thankfully, JAMB recognized that mistake, and I was scheduled to, and everyone else that JAMB made a mistake with the results was scheduled to resit the exam. So the period I was scheduled to resit my exam was, I was writing my SSC, and it was a week that I was writing lots of core subjects, physics, chemistry, biology, all in the same week, and also the UTME exam. But I was determined to succeed and go on. So the day of the exam came, and it was also early in the morning. So my mom took me there. We got there. There was no issue, there was no problem. It started early, and it went okay. The second exam I wrote was easier and better than the first one, which I was thankful for. And the time for my results came, and I scored 369.
Okay, my name is Mrs. Achunine. I'm married with 3 children. I'm a nutritional therapist, and also I help people achieve wellness through food and nutrition. Oziomachukwu Achunine is my son. He's actually a twin. He has a twin brother called Chibudom. We actually used 2 different numbers to register when it was time to register for their JAMB. I used my number for Oziomachukwu, and their dad used his own number for Chibudom. So when the time came for their results to be checked, I was at home and I was preparing something when my husband called and said that he has checked Chibudom's result and that he scored 343. Wow, we were so excited, and Chibudom was at home then, so I had to hug him, give him thumbs up. Then Ozioma was so eager, oh mommy, check my result. I said that phone is giving me a bit issue. I've been trying since morning to check his own and it wasn't going, so I was a bit agitated. So I had to leave the house and quickly rush, because it was a Glo number. I had to quickly rush to a Glo office in Ikeja. I drove from Bagada to Ikeja to check the result. So after working on the number, finally I checked the result, and what I saw was heartbreaking, 149. When I saw it, I was like, am I seeing double? Is this really my son's result? I had to go and sit down to check it again. I checked. It was still giving me the same result, 149. I was downcasted. How am I going to break this news to Ozioma? How am I going to go about it? In fact, I couldn't move where I was. My feet were stuck to the ground. How did this score come about? How? Does it mean that Ozioma did not write well? No, I know my son. That can be his result. At last, I mustered courage. In fact, it took me hours before I left the Glo office where I went to check, the result. It took me up to 30 minutes before I left the place. I gathered myself together. I drove back to the house. And then finally, I knocked at the door, and Ozioma rushed to come and open the door. Mommy, what's my result? What's my score? I said, Ozioma, I don't know. You scored 149. I don't know. That can't be your result. He quickly snatched the phone from me to recheck. 49. He sat down. This can be my result. I said, please calm down. This can be your result. I know what you are capable of. This is not your result. I don't know. Maybe something must have gone wrong. A lot of thoughts started racing through my mind. Is this how my son is going to miss his Unilag admission? Because my dream has always been that 2 of them should enroll in Unilag. I was like, your twin brother's score is 343 and your own is 149. How did this come about? So we are so I was so downcast, and I didn't even know how to break the news to the father. So I was just there. Throughout that day, I couldn't eat. He too was so agitated. He would take the phone, check again, drop the phone, stand up, go somewhere else, sit down, come back again, check the phone. It was like that until I finally mustered the courage to call the dad, say, look at Ozioma's result. Immediately the dad said, that can't be my son's result. That's not Ozioma's result. So we left it at that. We just managed to break the news to few family members who reiterated the fact that that was not his result. So I was just thinking, my mind was just racing. What can we do? Is it that maybe we'll now look at the option of maybe registering Unilag JUPEB for him? That may only be our option if nothing else is done about it. So I quickly called a friend of mine, and she also said that her son's score is 150 something, and the son is equally brilliant. That was when we concluded, no, that something must have gone wrong with JAMB. So we just we started praying. Who do we call? Do we know anybody in JAMB? Who do we call? Who do we talk to? In fact, I had to send a text message to their teacher, the one in charge of exam. I called him. He asked me. I told him this is Ozioma's result. He said, "What? This can't be his result." So I now asked him, what can we do? Can we send a message to JAMB? Is there any way we can lay a complaint, He now said, okay, I will just find out and get back to you. Then later on, I now found out that so many other students were affected equally, that it wasn't only my son. That was when my mind now relaxed. And the thing now went viral. People were saying that, JAMB made mistake, that can be. So yeah, the following day, the news now got to us that JAMB is trying to look into the problem, is that there was a technical error and all that. So my mind now came down. I was a bit happy. I was like, thank God there's going to be an option. So finally, the day came when JAMB acknowledged their fault openly and then called for a receipt. I was so excited. At last, there's hope for Ozioma. So immediately they released the date for the receipt, and it happened to be a day before I think it was their chemistry practical. So that day I came back, I had to call Ozioma, please, there's going to be a receipt, please, you have to study. Go and open your TestDriller, please practice questions, work hard. I know you're going to make it this time around. This time around it will be better. Please just study with your TestDriller app. Make sure you solve questions, please, just do all you can. I was just encouraging him. After a while, I'll still go back to where he is. Are you practicing? Please use your TestDriller app. Keep solving, keep solving, keep solving. I was like that, singing it like a song. And thank God that day came. I took him to where he took his exam, and at the end, as he was coming out, I just sighted him from where he was coming, and his face was relaxed. I was like, how is the exam? He said, Mommy, fine. This one is cheaper than the one we wrote. And my mother said, thank God. Thank God, I think this one will be better. So finally, the result came out, and that day, I was quickly sending text message to the recommended number to check. I was sending, it was not coming back. I was like, what's happening again this time? I beg you, I don't want, don't want problems. Finally, the result came and I saw 369. I said, what? Jesus Christ, I shouted, Ozioma, come here, you have broken record. So he now ran and came to meet me. The first thing he said was, thank God. Thank God. So we're so happy, and we started calling our friends, family to break the news to them, and everyone was so happy. Oh, thank God, you really did well. And that was it. So we thank God.
I have another sister, and she wrote UTME as well before me and my brother. So our school exposed us to the TestDriller app, exposed her to the TestDriller app, and she brought it to the awareness of my parents. So we subscribed for it, and it was useful. So when it was our turn, we also used the app. So that was how I started using the app. I made use of the practice feature and the classroom feature. The practice feature exposed me to past questions and helped me to have an understanding on how the exam was going to be and the structure of how the exam will be. And the classroom feature had notes that helped to better my understanding on specific topics, and I could also write tests on those topics to make sure I understood the topics. My favorite feature was the practice feature, which contained past questions and which I used to practice for the UTME. I liked using it because it exposed me to more past questions and it helped me to know the technique I'm going to use in the exam.
Okay, I got to know about TestDriller through my daughter that graduated last year from their school. She came back one day and said, Mommy, there's this app that they are using in school for JAMB. I said, what's the name? She said, TestDriller. I said, quickly, bring my phone, let's download it. That was how we downloaded the TestDriller app, and she started using it, and then came back to tell me that there's that I need to subscribe. I said right away. So I quickly chatted the number there, and then they told me the price. I quickly paid and told her, please start practicing. And with the TestDriller, she started practicing and was getting reasonable scores. And I must say that the TestDriller helped her during her own time. She scored 280, in JAMB during her own time, and that really helped her a lot. Yes, initially using the phone to practice for the TestDriller was actually a concern to me because initially they felt distracted. I must say they were distracted initially, but I had to sit them down and made them realize that now is the chance for them to work hard and not to allow anything distract them. Actually, that's my advice to parents. You need to sit your children down and tell them the advantages and disadvantages of using the phone. Make them realize that once they have the opportunity to study, that they should not allow it slide, that they should use the opportunity once it's there, to further their interest and education. For my children, they got really distracted initially, but I had to continue to remind them that they have a goal. And what is that goal? To gain entrance into the university, study, and then they can play. There's time for everything. There's time for everything under the sun. There's time to study hard. There's time to play. There's time to do other things. But right now is the time to study and pass their exams properly, so that they won't have any problem in the future.
So when I was practicing with the TestDriller app, I normally did English, chemistry, maths, and physics. But whenever I came to maths, sometimes I'll feel mentally drained from doing the other subjects, writing the other subjects for like 1 hour. So My strategy was to start with maths and go halfway, so I know that half of maths is done. Then I'll go to English and chemistry, because if I continue with maths, it might take time, because maths is time taking. So I went to English, chemistry, I came back and completed maths and went to physics. That was my strategy for the exam, and I was able to finish the exam under 2 hours. And another thing that helped me to finish the exam and answer the questions was whenever I came across a question that would take my time or I could not answer at that moment, I will skip it and I go to another question so I don't take too much time on it. I don't really have a specific way of solving maths questions quickly. I just solve them the fastest and best way that I can. In my opinion, it is difficult to score 90% in English language because English is a very broad subject and it contains many words that you need to know the meaning to. Like an aspect that might be difficult is the antonym and synonym aspect, where you have to understand the words to be able to know the synonym or the antonym of the word, and there's so many words to know the meaning to. So what I do, whenever I come across new words, I always write it down and write the meaning. I had a special book for that, and I came back to the book occasionally so that I won't forget the meanings of these words. So I would advise others to try and do the same. There are many learning strategies, but my best one is whenever I come across a new topic, I always go to my textbooks or wherever I can be the internet, to search for questions on this new topic and I answer them. And anyone I get wrong, after some time I come back to answer those ones again to make sure that I can answer any question on that topic, that I have full mastery and knowledge on the topic. Excluding lessons in school, I and my brother studied on an average of 2 hours daily, and on weekends we study more than 2 hours. My parents, they encouraged me to read, they supported me the way they could and made sure that I was always studying and not getting distracted. My lesson teacher also helped me. He taught us various subjects and he helped me to have a better understanding of those subjects. My teachers also gave us advice, gave me and my classmates advice on how the exam was going to be, and they did past questions with us. And my school allowed us to give us access to using the computers to study and prepare for the exam. My brother also helped me. He gingered me when I was feeling a bit lazy or tired to read. And my sister also gave me advice from her experience on writing the exam. I would like to say thank you to TestDriller for presenting this award to me. I am indeed very grateful, and I would like to give a shout out to them for helping me to achieve this success.
I want to use this opportunity to thank those that produced this app, TestDriller. They really did well. In fact, I must give it a thumbs up. Is an app that I want to recommend to students that are preparing for JAMB, not only for JAMB, but for also WAEC, because I also encouraged my children to use the same app to study for their WAEC, and it really helped them also. So I really want to thank TestDriller. And also, I never knew that TestDriller had this award thing in in the pipeline. I've never heard of it. In fact, I didn't even know when my son registered for the challenge. He did that on his own. So I was surprised one day when somebody from TestDriller chatted me and said, oh, your son registered for the challenge, and we've seen that he's one of our top scorers and we are considering giving him an award. I was like, where is this coming from? I never knew this, so I was so happy. So I really want to thank the TestDriller. You're doing a good job. Please keep it up.
It is the Lord's doing. It is wonderful in our sight, and we will praise him in Jesus' name.
Amen.